The number of apps that are in the App Exchange for QRadar alone just reached the number of 200. But every once in a while, one comes across that deserves the adjective of remarkable. And I believe that this is one of the cases. The QRadar use case manager. I install it, more on that later, and you see how I can filter and search for the rules that make my QRadar system. I don't think that anyone disagrees that that's the biggest value of QRadar, the rules, the intelligence that is all built in there. But searching in there by groups and putting some names in here, which of them handles a particular reference set or are affected by this custom property, or how do I manage that information? It's very hard, especially if you have inherited a QRadar system that was worked out by somebody else who's no longer in the company, or they didn't document it, any of these, or how do I make sure that I get a grasp of this? If I'm bringing a new log source, how is that going to be affecting the rules that I have ahead of time? Well, let's actually go into the use case manager, install it in here. More on that later. The installation is actually very similar. When you do come there for the first time, the navigation is so remarkable, so intense, that it offers you some templates. And by the way, you can always go back to the templates by clicking on this particular icon there. And let's take a look. Let's take a look at this default template. So when we click here, notice that you are being put the filters here, and you can actually clear them on and deal with them. So now let me actually start by showing you the level of details on the filtering that you can do. Of course, if they are enabled or disabled, if it's a rule or a building block, which in this particular case, is this a rules that acts on events, on flows, that fires offenses, that acts on offenses, or is a common type with flows and event? The origin is system, user, or override. The rule category. Now it comes even more interesting. The group, that's the log source group. Okay, but you can go more on that later into the actual log sources themselves and show the details of it. So if I want to see, for example, all the rules are part of the Sysmon, I can actually go here and apply that filter, and it will show up there. You know that in the rules editor there is a part that says what action do you take. Do you fire another event as part of the offense? Do you annotate an event? And you can actually select which of them deal with any one of these conditions. In the response part, for example, if I want to see which of them touch a reference set, you can actually click in here. If I want to see which of them fire a custom action, a pair script that executes some actions, calling APIs and all that, you select that filter there. If I want to sort them by creation date, modification date, this is actually very, very interesting. You can put here the test condition, and more on that later. Say that which of them work with port, 53 for DNS stuff. You can actually put the word port here and see all the rules that deal with port, and select the one that deals with port 53. Here's the log source type, and of course there are 68 more of log source types. And here are the actual log source themselves. Very interesting. If I want to look at all the log sources that are, for Windows event logs, you go here, and here you have them. So other test condition. If I want to see, for example, which rules do an aerial search, you can actually see it there. Which of them deal with domains, endpoint? Notice the level of granularity. This is really remarkable. In here we have the MITRE attack framework. More on that later. And more people are really using the MITRE attack framework. And here you can see and filter your rules by which of them deal with MITRE. And I believe there is a template specifically for that. But again, this is an incredibly easy way of filtering the rules and finding what you are really looking for in all these complex rules that your QRadar system can have, or that somebody actually modify. One thing that is important to mention is that now this app also includes the beautifully and much appreciated tuning app, because the two things are kind of related with one another. More on the navigation. In here, when you are looking for some specific route, this is the eye candy kind of look, and you can actually see that, or you can actually say, no, I want to see it as a table, and you click that by clicking on that eye. And here you can see which routes are enabled or disabled, and you can actually enable it from here or disable it from here. Very, very powerful. Now, for documenting processes, let's say that I want to document stuff that I do with these or those rules, you can actually select with all the filters what you're looking for and bring it down into a CSV file. Pretty good. You can actually create a rule from here as well. And this button in here forces the refresh with the QRadar data. It basically makes API calls and find all these, refreshes all this information. So let's say that you are working with an existing or a new custom property, and you want to see which rules are affected by this particular custom property. Probably the best way is to select this template in here. And when you do, notice that these condition custom properties are here. So you see the actual test there. And you can actually click in either on the custom property and see it in the admin tab, or I'm clicking on one here in particular. And here you are in the actual rules editor view. Notice the test condition, and actually you can click in here to highlight where the custom property is, and this particular case is username. If you want to modify those thresholds like that, for example, that 5 minutes, let me see all the thresholds in here. So you don't need to look for them. You can actually click here, modify threshold, and bingo, you have them there. And you can actually modify them right here. Or you can go into the rules wizard, or you can see the dependency. What are the dependencies of these rules? Okay, the dependency and the dependent, you have them both. Let me see only the dependencies. So you actually click here, and here you have, there are only dependencies in this particular case. There are no dependents, so that's where I could not see that one. Close the navigation here. So let us say that I'm interested in knowing which of my Sysmon rules uses AQL queries in the test conditions. Well, I will search for that. First, I will select the group. The group is Sysmon. And the test condition will be AQL. I can look for it, or I can just put the word here AQL, and that should find it. This should be case insensitive, but I just put it in uppercase just in case. And it's making the query into all my rules and finds this. Let's actually click on this one just to see it. And here we have it. There's the AQL query that is made in the test conditions for this particular rule. Closing on those windows and clicking again on this icon for the template. I want to just mention the MITRE one because it's actually quite remarkable. So in here, and some of these take a while because it's making a query in all the different parameters within my QRadar system. So in here, that's the default view. We have all the tactics in here. Let's say that I only want the tactic that has to do with exfiltration, so I can actually clear all these others, you know, because that is the tactic that I'm particularly interested in. One lateral movement, I only want that particular tactic, and click apply. And instead of 96 pages, we get only one page. There are only these. You see here, there's only one page of rules that have the exfiltration tactic, and of course you can always click on any one of those and you get the view as before. And in here you can even go and modify the this is the same as the cyber app, in which you need to actually put the rule name again, but here you will specify the type of confidence that you have, whether you want to add or delete any one of those tactics in here. But it's a direct map to the cyber app that you only got access to when you were here this cyber adversary framework. Let me actually go back to that remarkable app. So lots of emphasis on the MITRE, and actually you can click in here. Oh, that opens it up in a separate view. But in here, that's the icon that I wanted to hit. You see all the different, components of the MITRE framework that are involved in that particular set of rules. So very, very remarkable. I really encourage you to play with this app. Some comments about the installation of it. So if we go into, after you install the app, in the admin tab, you need to get a token for it. You know how to do that on the authorized service, generate a token. You install the app, when you download the zip file, you add it from here, and you'll find an icon right here at the bottom where you will configure that. One thing that you might want to keep in mind is, let's say that you get stuck with searches and stuff and you want to clear all the cache on the app. Well, there's a button there for you to do so you can get back to normal. Again, I really wanted to keep this video much shorter, but I'm really impressed with this application, this new app, and I encourage you to use it to keep your rules up to date, to know what you're doing, and remember that you also have the capability of playing along with the tuning app to make sure that your system, you get rid of all the false positive and you get only offenses with things that demand your attention.